Hi, everybody. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, where we'll be talking about how you can manage your construction drawings from your mobile device. My name is Jerry Bartles. Along with me is Emmanuel Graves, who we will both be supporting Emily Edelstone, who is our speaker today. While she's running through her presentation, we'll be in the background helping to address any questions that come up along the way. A couple of housekeeping items before we get started. This is a 30-minute session. We appreciate how valuable your time is, so we're committed to starting and ending on time. During the presentation, if you're one that is prone to be taking notes and screen captures and that, don't worry about that so much because the session will be recorded and everyone that's registered will get access to the recording. If you have any questions during the session, please put them in the Q&A pane, not the comments area, but the Q&A pane, and we'll do our best to answer them along the way. If any questions remain at the end of the session, we will get back to you with an answer. Finally, if you'd like to have a one-on-one follow-up call with us regarding the content discussed during today's session, please let us know. We always enjoy speaking with other users. With that, I'm going to turn the presentation over to you, Emily. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Jerry. And thank you everyone for joining today. I'm really excited for this one. I love having access to my project drawings on my phone or my tablet, and it just makes everything so much easier. Like I said, I'm Emily. I'm a technical solutions executive at Autodesk. I actually come from the construction industry. I spent about a decade building in Southern California before I joined Autodesk, and I've been at the company now for about 3 years in this role. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I post tips and tricks all the time, as well as on any social media platform, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram at Design Build Lady. So if you're interested in seeing more content from me, feel free to give me a follow, send me a message, things like that. And let's get into it. So I'm going to stop this share and move over to my iPad today. That is the biggest screen that I have to share so that you all can see the presentation and the demo that I'm going to be going through and walking through on my mobile app. I will say I do love just using my phone. This is my favorite tool that I have out in the field. I can access all my drawings from it, from our mobile app. Personally, I don't like to carry around a big iPad on the job site. And so I always have my phone and I can access everything really well from the phone. And you'll be able to see today too in the demo how you can zoom into the drawings, things like that. I'm going to give a short little lay of the land here with our projects on the mobile app so you can see what this looks like before we move in and dive in specifically to the drawing sheets, which is all of what today's topic is about. At the top here, I have some projects that are on my device. That means they're fully cached my device. I have access to them depending on what I have set up to download. And with that, it could be all of my project drawings, all of my project photos, those kind of items, you name it. Anything that I am doing while I am looking at them saves up while I'm offline. So I don't have to have service or Wi-Fi in order to access these projects. I do have projects at the bottom though that are in the cloud. And so those projects I can access from the computer, so from a web browser, or I, while on service, can download those onto my device. So moving into this project here, another little lay of the land. Once I come to the project, I have a home screen where I can see things like my recently viewed drawing sheet. So I can just click in and go. I have forms that I'm working on, my work status, so issues, RFIs, middles, things that are assigned to me, as well as if I have the permissions to see what's assigned to the entire project. I also can go ahead and click that take a photo button and get right into taking a photo. And then if I had files that I've recently viewed, I've got them there as well. At the bottom, we have our navigation bar. So I can see different items like my drawing sheets, files, forms. And then in the more, we have just more items in that navigation bar. that are hidden there. So I can go in and I can see items like my submittals and RFIs, schedule, photos, you name it. But like today's topic is, it's all about managing your construction drawings from your mobile app. So let's dive in to the drawing sheets. I wanted to start talking about our collections. On the left-hand bar there, under the sheets here, you see I have building A, building B, and site. Those are each a collection. And if you're an active Autodesk Build user, you may not see this bar, and it may look a little bit more like this for you. That could be because the projects that you're working on don't have the collections turned on. And I would say that not every project needs collections. Collections are really great for when you have multiple buildings, like this is showing an example for building A or building B over an entire site. And this is something that I had a lot when I was in the field. I had multiple buildings or an entire campus of buildings, so 10 different buildings. And if I have 2 versions of A101, that helps me distinguish there between which A101 it belongs to. So these are my 2 different like sets of the project drawings. And I can flip between them and get to those different drawings. So you can see this one, I actually do have 2 different A101s. And if you look at that card there, you can see that they actually are different buildings. So that helps me to determine between the 2. So when we're on, say, building A there, the drawings that are showing up, we're just working with the building A drawings here. Now within that, I do like to store all of my different disciplines inside of that collection. So I don't like to use the collections for things like my architectural drawings and then my structural drawings, because within the item here, when I'm looking at building A, I can store in there my architectural drawings, my mechanical drawings, my structural drawings, and I have our handy little filter button where I can go ahead and I can filter down by different items. One of those being my discipline. So if I want to look for just my structural drawings, I can filter down and look at just the structural drawings inside of that set. And I can quickly go ahead and clear that as well. So we can use that filter to manage different things. That also could be my version sets if I want to look at a different version, or if I do have tags on my drawings, I can go ahead and I can sort by those tags. So maybe I want to tag my drawings by the 2nd floor. I can click on here and pull up all of just my drawings that are associated with the 2nd floor, maybe my detail drawings. So this allows me to manage and have quick access to go through my project drawings. And I think there, are plenty of advantages to being and working off of a mobile application and have digital drawings. But one of the big things for me, instead of having a printout of drawings and carrying those around the job site or having them in the office that I'm flipping through, the navigation with drawings digitally is so much easier. Because I can do things like filter. I can also go ahead and do items like I can search. So I can search in here for an item like stairs, and it's going to pull out in the content here for me anywhere that it lists stairs. Same would go for if I'm looking for maybe a mechanical room or an electrical room. So it's going to read and it's going to find that on the drawings. And then I can zoom in here and see exactly where it's pulling that up for me. And that's something that I can't do with a piece of paper. On my drawings, I can't search them. I can't zoom into them. And it's so nice that I have this right in my pocket, either from my phone or from my mobile application on my tablet. And I didn't mention before, but our app does work on phones, tablets, anywhere with an iOS or Android store. So moving back out to just the overall drawing sheets, I do want to explain that getting the drawing sheets into the application here is done on the computer on a web browser. It's a very simple process. It takes just a handful of minutes to upload your drawings, go through the titling process. It does most of that for you. So where it says on this one that's highlighted, this A112 second floor plan, that is done by the program. So you don't have to spend time putting that in. There is a QC process. If you want to relabel a name, things like that, you can certainly do that. And it's a quick process. I will plug here that I do actually have a demo on YouTube that shows start to finish how to upload your project drawings. Within each one of these that we're looking at, I like to consider each one kind of my little library for that drawing sheet. So we're looking at this one here that's highlighted, the A112 second floor plan. It has a V2 in the corner. That actually means that that is the second version of that drawing sheet. Same with this one over here. And all of these, I think actually, yep, they all in this set are the two different versions of the drawing sheet. I can store as many different versions in here as I want. So I could store 10 different versions if I have that. Unfortunately, I've been on projects that do have 10 versions of drawing sheets, maybe more. And within this little library for this drawing sheet, when I pull up the sheet, it's going to pull up my latest and the greatest sheet. So my latest version that I have, but it's also storing in here the history of all of my other versions. At the top here, we can see which version we're on. So we're on the 50DD version. And if I swipe up, I get to an older version of the drawing sheet. Fortunately, I'm in a demo environment. It looks like the name maybe didn't change from the file, but in here, I can get to that older version. I can take a look at this older version, especially when I'm out there building on the job site and I'm looking at something and go, that's not looking like my current drawings. I can swipe up and I can see maybe, someone's building off the wrong version. Hopefully by, if you're a general contractor, bringing your subcontractors, or if you're a subcontractor, having your team have the most current set of drawings through Autodesk Build. Hopefully that won't happen where people are building off of the wrong version, because this set will be, managed, and you'll be making sure that everyone is always working off of the latest and the greatest here. But if something, does happen, you do have all of that history, so you can look back and see, okay, this is what's being done, or maybe I remember just reviewing the drawings and it was different. I love here that it does warn me at the top that we're looking at an older version of the drawing sheet. And it also has a button next to it where I can compare with the most current. So it's going to pull up in here, red and blue, the differences between those two different versions of the drawing sheet. And over on the left-hand bar here, we can see it labeling which version is which. And I can turn those highlights on and off between the different versions. So I can really get into looking at, okay, maybe where is this coming from? What's that difference? And I just love having access to this on the job site. With the comparison, not only can I compare, an older version to a current version, but I also can run a comparison on any two different drawings in the set. So if I want to go ahead and I want to put my mechanical drawing on top of my structural drawing, or in this case, my mechanical drawing on top of my floor plan, I can do that. And I'm so glad that this showed up this way. Unfortunately, sometimes the design teams move where the drawings are on the drawing. And so for this case, my grid lines aren't lining up, my building's not lining up, but we have an aligned sheet section. So I can grab an area where I maybe have grid lines that I can take a look at. And it allows me to just drag along here and match up those grid lines so that I can lock in that comparison. And so now I can see where all of my mechanical is going on top of my floor plan. So this could be, really helpful in so many different ways for the team to have access to be able to run comparisons on drawings. So not only, can you do an older version to a current version, but you can go ahead and do any two different versions of any drawings together. And so I do want to also highlight here some of the items that it also automatically does for me. And then I will get into the different markups that we can do with the drawing sheets. So on here, I do have some callouts. So this sheet is referencing and calling out to a 401, and it has a little blue line over it. The program's going to automatically do that for me. So when I put in the drawing sheets, it's going to start building out all of those references. When I click on that blue area, it's going to pull up the references at the bottom, and that's going to be that other sheet here. So that 401, and I can, if I can click in the right spot, I can click on that and it's going to pull me forward to this drawing sheet. And then I can go ahead if I want, I can move through from sheet to sheet to sheet and really be able to, again, navigate that drawing set in just very quick ways. At the top, though, we have this little clock button so that I can see all of the sheets that I was previously on so that I can work my way back to where I came from in case I, don't remember where I came from because I'm quickly flipping from sheet to sheet. Also something that is difficult to do with a piece of paper and paper drawings. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the sheet that I was on before. I do want to also quickly mention that I can swipe through the drawing sheets and move through the set. So I'm now on a 102 and I can move back to a 101. So swiping left and right allows me to also swipe between the different drawing sheets. So let's go ahead and get into the markups where we can do things like red lines, as built, posting RFIs to the drawings, putting photos down on the drawings, and even doing workflows like managing our assets that we're installing on the job site and doing punch list workflows. So if I'm looking at the sheet here, I've got a lot of different markup types. And I am using my fingers to navigate. I'm on an iPad. We do have the ability to use, an Apple Pencil, which I know that I have some customers who really like being able to use their Apple Pencils so they can work still with their gloves on if they don't have gloves at work with a touch screen. So that's a functionality as well, where I can go ahead and I can draw on the screen. So you can see here, I do have some hand drawing that I have done on this. I also have some clouds and I do have some text boxes and call out boxes. Our bar on the right-hand side is my bar where I can go ahead and I can grab my different markup types. So I can go ahead and I can grab a cloud and I can cloud an area on the drawings. I can even go ahead and I can change things like the color, the opacity, and how thick it is. So I have that ability to very quickly work with these markups, move them around and change them as well. I also can go ahead and I can add in measurements. And we do have calibration. That is something that I get asked a lot. I like to set the scale rather than doing a 2-point calibration. This sheet has already had the scale set on here. But if not, it's something where I can simply come in here and I can set that scale. If I deleted this out. Within those markups, we do have a lot markups for measurements. We do have a lot of different measurement types. So that could be a simple distance, and I can grab and move around my distance marker here. And I also can go ahead and I can do areas, just a simple area, or maybe a polygon area where I can start building out that area and then adjusting, moving it around. So few different options there with measurements. That's really great for adding those. When I do add these markups, like these ones that I just did right now, they are only showing just for me. So you don't have to worry potentially about like a foreman out in the field or a subcontractor out in the field messing up your overall set of drawings. If I have permission to, which there's a lot of really robust permissionings inside of Autodesk Build. If I have permission to, I can go ahead and I can publish that markup. When I publish markups, what's that's doing is that is making that markup visible to everyone on the project. So that is now going on my overall drawing set for the entire project. So my master drawing set. And then the last thing here with kind of like the text boxes, that kind of stuff. We do have other markups as well for just simple markups and text boxes, call outs. So I can go ahead and I can pin text boxes down onto the drawing. So maybe something like an RFI that I want to call out. I can put the information that I have there. And then my favorite thing is that I can add in references. So if I click on the references there, I can actually go ahead and do things like creating an RFI right from the drawing sheets. Again, based on permissions, this RFI for the drawing sheets is something that I can set up for, they can only put it into draft status. So it's not actually pushing out to an architect, something like that. It's going to keep it in draft so that it's going to go to a project manager. Or if I'm a project manager out in the field, maybe I want it to be draft so I can go back to the office and I can revise it in the office there before I officially create and submit that RFI. I also can link to an existing RFI, pull that in and add that as a reference. And now that markup there has this little chain link. That little chain link means that I have that RFI posted into, or any of those references that we do have from that reference picker. And that's going to pull it up on the bottom here so that I can click on that reference and see into that RFI. So I have all the information now for that RFI. I can click done and I'm back to the drawing sheet. All right. 2 more markup types here to go through, and I know we're running short on time. So next one is photos. So we have a simple photo tool that we can pin down onto the drawing sheets. For me, this is my own opinion. I like to use this tool specifically for things like progress photos. I used to use 360 cameras on my job site. So maybe putting down 360 photos, videos, we can add those in here. I also loved to, when I was managing the sites, I would, before we closed up a room of walls, before we buried something in the ground, I would take photos or 360 photos. And so that's something that maybe I would store in here using that photo tool. Anything that I have action that I want to associate with it. So like a punch list item, something that needs to get completed, something that is damaged, I like to use our issues tool. And that's what these other dots are on the screen that have letters in them. These are our issues. So great example is a punch list item. I can pin that down onto the drawing sheet and I can take a look here at what is the information that needs to get changed. I have a painting punch list on this one. It's assigned out to an individual. There's a due date. And I can have any photos associated with it, or I can even mark those photos up. And I like to use the issues tool because this is now going to go on to a log where I can track those issues and have it assigned to someone and I have a date associated with it. But all of these photos that we do have on the drawing sheets, they are going to live in the photos tab as well. So it's not just living on the drawing sheet, it's also replicating over there. And with that, that is everything that we're looking at right now. I think I covered all of that from the actual drawing sheet. I will for next minute jump in a little bit into the assets that I can turn on the drawing sheet and then leave a few minutes for Q&A. So the asset gear up at the top here, I can flip that on. And then now I'm actually looking at all of my different assets that I have marked up on the drawing sheet. So this could be items like HVAC equipment. In this case that I have here, I've got some furniture, I've got some walls, and these can be used for progress tracking. So they have different colors. So if I'm looking here at my different office chairs, I can see and click on each asset to manage which chair is which and managing the items if they've been installed they've been delivered. And we can do a whole session in the future on assets. So I won't get super into that, but this is a great way to visualize and see the progress of all those different items that we are installing on the project, or it could be overall areas. You can think of it in many different ways. And that is a filter there that we can turn on and off on the drawing sheets. And speaking of filters, we also can go ahead and filter. So I can hide things like all of my markups. I could show only my issue pins. So there's different ways that we can filter the drawing sheet. So I have different items that we can show. So with that, that is what I wanted to show here today. I do see that there is one question in the chat. It looks like Emmanuel is typing an answer. But we have here asking about, do the issues on the 3D model correlate to the 2D plans? Okay, it looks like Emmanuel has answered that, and they do not. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We know everyone is super busy, so we do want to be mindful of time and not go over our allotted 30 minutes here. So we've got a few more minutes. I do want to mention with some typical questions that I do get, and they are things that I have covered. But while we're fielding other questions, our mobile app does work on iOS, Android, anywhere that we do have those app stores. Our Autodesk Build ACC mobile app is in those app stores. So that is something that you can access. Everything can be used completely offline. So as long as the files and the projects are downloaded on cache onto the device, those work completely offline. Anything that I am doing is storing up as I work on it, and then it will push back into the cloud, and anything that anyone else is doing will push back down onto here. And then the other main thing is uploading the drawing sheets. That is done from the computer. So I can go ahead and upload the drawing sheets from the computer to get them into the sheet section here. So that is something that we are managing from the computer and not from the mobile, but it gives everyone access here. I see a question about scan to BIM now on ACC and on the mobile. We can answer that question offline and discuss that with you. Not exactly sure what the question is regarding. So we can kind of maybe talk about that more, but I have a feeling that that is around assets, Michael. But I can get with you later on that one. All right. Well, thank you all for joining today. Again, my name is Emily. You can connect with me on LinkedIn at Emily Edelstone, or on any social media platform at Design Build Ladies. And I do post a lot of tips and tricks. Typically, they are like 10 to 30 seconds long, maybe a little bit longer. And I do have plenty of demos as well on YouTube. So you can go check those out, as well as some of this recording. We'll be sending this recording out for you. But feel free to connect and learn more, and feel free to send us any questions as well. And I think Jerry wanted to do a little wrap up.
Yep. Thanks, Emily. Great job. In the interest of time, any questions that haven't been answered during this session, we will get back to you with an answer, as Emily had said. As a quick FYI, we'll be hosting another webinar on Thursday, where we're going to be talking about ways to mitigate risk using the Autodesk Construction Cloud's photos and reports tools. If you've not signed up for that one already, or not aware of where to sign up, I just threw my email in the chat area. If you want to shoot me an email, I can get you the registration link, get you set up for that one. And we actually have 2 more going again next week as well. So with that, on behalf of Emily, Emmanuel, and myself, we'd like to thank you for attending our session today. We know your time's valuable and appreciate you investing some of that time with us. And we look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.